Alright, here is video review for our Cang toys. CT-05 and 08 THORILLA and RUSIRIUS. THORILLA, obviously the gorilla. RUSIRIUS, with the root Sirius, obviously the wolf over here, that becomes a foot. They also both have robot modes. This guy also becomes pants for their big combined predator robot, whatever they're calling it. And we'll see how that goes. This came with, in the package, I'm not sure if this is just to prevent, I bet you that goes on the wolf and foot mode. It came with a little rubberized 3M strip, and I bet that goes on the bottom. The instructions don't mention it, but I'm sure that's a non-slip thing to go on the bottom of the wolf when it's a foot. To keep the giant robot from slipping, you also get a couple of bio cards for each of them. So 05 is THORILLA, with their stats on the back. RUSIRIUS is 08. And there's also all sorts of other little bits and baubles that we'll get to, the hammer, the guns here in a minute. Now, he does come with a rifle. There's a few bits and bobs. Some of these identical pieces to these go in the hammer, and then other pieces don't. And I'm sure all these pieces are just duplicate pieces for both feet, because one of the wolves comes with a king lion, and then he's the pants. So, but anyway, there is this gun that does transform. I assume this part of the folding gun bit is not mentioned in the instructions. I don't know if that's, and there's nothing in the instructions that indicate you need to transform this at all for the individual figure. I'm sure that's something to do with how it all combines into the giant rifle. Again, I had a couple of these guys. I said, no, I think that's too big. I think there's too much gold on King Lion, and I sold off my the original three, the Rampage, the Tantrum, and Dive Bomb that they did. And now that I got this guy in hand, which showed up today or yesterday from Show Z store, I'm really kind of rethinking I may go back and have to hunt those down, which means just paying out a whole lot of money. But hey, you know what? Maybe we do that. I still got to get to. I am intending. I know I've talked about winding things down, and that's still going to happen. I'm waiting on a head fix for Incursus, but I am going to do the other four Generation 2 Combaticons from MMC. Those are also coming, and I think those the Beast Drive figures from Beast Box, the shark and the raptor, are on the way as well. Anyway, he does come with this rifle. He can hold it in his robot mode. Lots of little pegs. This little peg can flip up to form a little tab, and I haven't found a place to tab this in, although that tab is very short, and I don't know how stable it would be. As it is, in gorilla mode, there's a couple little tabs here behind the shoulders that should stick out a little bit more. These pieces should be a little bit more straight in regards to here, but because of the way the arms transform, that folds in, and when you do this, it's very easy to just push that tab in versus actually getting this on. But there's a little tab on either side, so if you want to, you can use these slots on the gun, and you can get it, there we go, to attach kind of over his shoulder. It's at a slight angle, again, because the shoulder pad's getting in the way a little bit, and also that little tab piece does push into the arm, so it sits at a slight angle. You can also, if you want, you can use this peg and peg it onto his shoulder pad directly and make it sit a little straight, facing forward if you want to really arm the gorilla. Also, check out the silhouette of this gorilla. It's really fantastic. Like Wolf we'll get to. Wolf is kind of like a very Zoidy looking wolf, and we'll turn him into a robot. Like I said, I'm not going to do the pants and foot mode because I have nothing to connect them to, but when I go back and get the others, we will be showing off the combined modes. Do not fret. It's just, I don't want to do it in this video because it's going to make it overly long, and there's already some cool stuff going on here. But, so the wolf is cool. Like I said, Zoid Wolf kind of got a jetpack. His gun becomes his tail. Neat. But, like, this gorilla silhouette is really nice. He's got an up and down on his head. He can rotate. He can't twist this way once it's up, so it does kind of, if you want to look around when he's a gorilla, he kind of has to tilt his head to look side to side. But if he's, if you have him standing up, obviously it has a standard neck joint. But some of the dimension management, you can see he's got his thinner robot mode arms up in here, but the shoulder pauldrons actually have this little piece that flips out, and they hinge, and they're on a ball joint so they can move with the arm to kind of bulk up that arm, make it look more gorilla-ish. Same with these pieces on his hands. Because you can see he does have a smaller hand inside there, and these are kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not palm, but hand back, like arm guards. And the instructions, again, do not mention these at all. There is one picture of him in gorilla mode that have these here on his hands. And I didn't know where they came from. I didn't know. I thought the hands looked different in the picture. And it turns out these go on his hips in robot mode. And there's no mention, none of the instructions in robot mode show these sitting on the hips. They're just magically there in one render. Like, I'll even show you, like, the instructions. There's, when you get to this gorilla mode, right, I don't even know, that may be an actual photo, a more render, but they're right here in this picture. You can see them. And then but they're not here. They're not mentioned anywhere else in the instructions. They're not on his hips in robot mode. They just kind of, I figured it out on my own. So just be aware, you can, and we'll show you how these go on in robot mode. But they had a little hinge tab that I'm like, what is that for? It doesn't do anything in robot mode. And then I realized it has a little triangular tab on the inside that matches the fist. But so they thicken up the hands. You can fold away the guns. You can actually flip out the guns in his forearms as well. We'll show that off in a second. But really nice way that the arms and everything transforms to bring the arms back into the gorilla shoulder position, and just really give a nice silhouette here. Really cool. His mouth opens and closes. He's got angry teeth. They don't move or anything. They just kind of go into the lower jaw when you close it. But he can't open his mouth. A big grin. But like I said, you can lift these up. These forearm pads that actually just clipped off. It's just a friction peg. But you can flip out some little rifles. Very reminiscent of Optimus Primal. And I do feel like this figure in general has a very Optimus Primal vibe. You could make this a standalone Primal figure if you wanted, with very little effort. And I hope that's something they do down the line. Now, see, this is with that hand guard on. This is kind of getting in the way. You can leave these on the hips in gorilla mode as well, but I wanted to show them off like this. But yeah, so he's got standard range. Like I said, the arms ratchet. There's a bicep swivel, a hinge here, and a hinge here. So you've got both in both gorilla and robot mode, both hinge angles. So you don't have to have the arms. You don't get the common complaint of gorilla arms in a lot of those figures where they only bend one way and it's not the right way. You've got both ranges of movement there. He's got wrists. The fists extend. I don't think that's for pants transformation, and that may just be a way to get some clearance for these pads here in gorilla mode, because again, the instructions don't really show what the point of extending this bit is. And you can see this little pad just came off, but it's just there's a little triangular slot in his wrist that just happens to match. No, it just happens. Clearly they designed it, but there's a little triangular tab inside of here, and you just kind of push that onto the fist. The legs do move. You'll notice they're not ratcheting this way. When you have these pieces attached, you'll hear the hips ratchet. I'm not sure exactly what it's engaging there, but hey. And there's little monkey toes. These are all one solid piece. There's a little inner toe that folds in, very similar to the Generation toy and version of Gorilla. And they can move like that. They're not superposable back there in the legs. He does have a waist swivel, but it's locked into place by this piece. If you wanted to swivel a little bit, you can. But there's a little peg hole there and there. It should tab right back in. Twist it to be straight. There we go. Just wasn't quite off center. But yeah, nice little gorilla mode. Wolf's a little bit more limited. He's got some cool missile racks up here on his shoulders. But he's got a pretty decent range of motion there. I didn't realize before. A little squeaky, but a twist, a swivel. Because again, these are his arms. He's got a little ball joint there at his paw. Although the way some of the angles of this armor work kind of block it. His back feet, there is a ball joint at the back foot right here at the ankle. And you got a hinge there, and a hinge there, and a hinge there. The tail is one solid. I think maybe this piece does come off for foot mode, but the gun just pegs in. The tail doesn't wag or anything. And the hips can, again, he's very squeaky, and I'm not sure why. Like, it's not scary. Like, at no point do I feel like something's about to snap, but it's a little squeakier than I like. I may have to hit that with some oil. But we'll deal with him well, actually, let's do him first before we transform him, because he's kind of the secondary guy. So, to transform him, just come back here, and then, like I said, the gun, kind of pull the legs out a little bit, and then there's a little slot here. You can slide the gun into the back, but pop the gun out. These are the pieces for flip mode, but you can just slide that, get a little, slide it together there. It's just a laser rifle. And then the legs, you just kind of, there's a bunch of little hinges in here, but you just kind of fold them up until they become robot legs, and then just kind of straighten them all out. Now, same back here. Flip the toe down, and then lift this up, rotate them here, get the arms out of the way. So these little very sharp, pointy missile, or technically, I guess, engine vents. And rotate this whole thing around. This piece is pretty much solid for foot mode. It has you can see the ratchet for ankle tilt for foot mode, but you've got some hinge here on the thrusters. But this is basically just a giant butt jetpack. And actually, turn that back around, because that is. Oh, come on. Because that's his front. What do we do here? Did I mess this up? Let's get those out of the way. There we go. Oh, right. Sorry. Rotate his legs at the thigh. I'm about to say, I know there's a rotational joint here because my legs are facing the wrong way. Ding dong. Anyway, bring the arms down. You can bring these covers kind of back up over the spiky bits and bring the upper arms down. These pieces right here, you gotta untab the foot, and going back the other way, you have to get this open first, because you open this up. You got to straighten them, and you have to keep them straight, because you have to get that panel out of the way, which gives you just enough clearance to flip the fist out. And then you can close that back up, and then you can close this back up up here. All right, now see that's what I'm talking about. You have to lock the when you're moving this piece from robot mode to wolf mode and vice versa. You have to have this not quite engaged to give that the clearance it needs to fold all the way up. Why is this not folding all the way up? I'm still not clear. There we go. And so make sure that can fold all the way up like that, and fold the paw down and tab it on to, you can see there's a tab here and a slot here. It's on a ball joint, but fold that up like that, and then you can finish folding the wrist around and close that up. And there's one arm. It's got big elbows, big pointy elbows. And same over here. Lift this up. If I can get it untabbed, there we go. And then untab this, and rotate this halfway-ish, maybe a little over halfway-ish. So you just until you have enough clearance to fold this up all the way and peg it into the back here. Come on. And good enough. And then flip the fist out the rest of the way. And then, well, that's not right, because that's not pegged in all the way. This should be, you should have the clearance to get this all the way around. Maybe I rotated it the wrong way. No. No, it has to go this way. Why are you being a pain in the butt? Your other arm wasn't. Okay, let's get you all the way up. No. That's the right position. Hold you up like that, great. And then you should fold up. I can't go any further up than that. Why are you? What is catching here? I'm sorry, I apologize for this taking so long. This hasn't been this much of a pain yet. All right, let me fix this real quick. All right, here we go. We fixed it. We moved him out of the way, but It was just, I just wasn't flipping this far enough further before I flipped that around. It was stupid. Anyway, and then come up here, flip this panel out here, and then untab. The wolf head tabs into the back of the robot head, and when you're going to wolf mode, fold this down, and then before you fold this panel in, put your finger right there to support the head so you can get that to peg in, because otherwise it just wants to push the head down. There's nothing really locking this into place. It looks like it looks like this should tab in right there, but it doesn't quite reach. So just be aware of that. Well, it does look like this something here should rotate. Whatever. I'm not going to mess with it right now. But open this up, pull the wolf head back, and then it's another one of those places where you got to get the clearance. The wolf head needs to turn around, needs to come up and turn around like that, and then you got to get the robot head back up and around like that, and then fold this all around. This should rotate around like 180 on the ball joint, so it folds up into the back and kind of sits there on the back of the robot. Although I don't know, he's being a pain in the butt. Anyway, and then you can flip the robot head up and around, lift it up, turn it around, flip the panel back in like that. And there is RUSIRIUS in robot mode. He's got a ball joint here at the neck, double hinge at the shoulder, very squeaky, bicep swivel. He does technically have a dual hinged elbow, but all that armor really kind of gets in the way there. He's got the waist swivel, but you are going to be bringing this whole butt packed with it, so make sure you got clearance on all these little pieces so you're not snapping something off while you're doing it. The waist pieces here are on hinges so they can get out of the way. They're actually on ball joints. Squeaky hips, forward and back, side to side, thigh swivel, dual hinge knee, and then you got a ankle at, well, again, the dual hinge knee can, especially with this big old butt plate, doesn't really give you a whole lot of movement, but it is there. Then a ball joint at the ankle, a little bit of toe articulation there. And then, again, you take his rifle. Come on. Should be going. Don't know why his... Oh, there we go. Oh, his fingers do open. How about that? There we go. Now we'll close his fingers around. There is RUSIRIUS in robot mode next to THORILLA. Let's go ahead and get him out of the way. Because here's the main event, and this is, this guy's pretty cool. So to take him, first off, let's go ahead and just pop these wrist pieces off, or the palm, they're not palm, because Batman had a palm top computer, and it wasn't actually a palm top, it was up here, and this is your palm, this is not your palm. Anyway, I had a whole argument with that on a bus in high school. That's actually how I got together with one of my first girlfriends. Anyway, so come back here, and with the legs, starting here at the hip here, go ahead and lift, not the hip, the back thigh, whatever you want to call this piece. Just kind of bring these out and around like that. Go ahead and flip down these. Those are going to be his robot mode toes. And then you come up here, straighten the legs like that. And then this piece opens toward the inside. And then just bring this piece kind of like Combiner Wars. Lift this up and around. And then lift this up, fold this piece up, because you can see when you fold this panel up, there's a slot here that pegs back onto that and locks that in place like that. Fold up the monkey toes, and then this little inner toe, like I said, I was talking about gorilla. Fold that in like that. He does still have monkey toes on his heel, but just how gorilla toes before I get yelled at. And then just bring this back down like that, and then do the same thing on the other side. Nope, come on. There we go, lock you into place. Just like that. Straighten up the leg, fold in the toes. And these have like different, there are dual hinges here and here, so you want to make sure that like you've got both. However you have the knees, make sure they're both in the same position, because if one is angled back at the wrong click, it'll stand weird. See, these are both ratcheted forward. So there we go. Make sure his legs are straight. This is what I was talking about with the hips here, because you can see they're just... Okay, bring his arms down so he's not back heavy here. These pieces right here just slide in with the point of this facing down. Slide over these things. And see, now you hear ratcheting from side to side. I'm not entirely sure what's engaging. I'm not sure what in here is making that click. Hopefully it's not breaking anything. It shouldn't. I can't imagine. Would you slide in there? Oh, maybe it is. I don't know. Fuck. But yeah, I think that little tab comes up. But yeah, this is what was confusing me, because there's this little tab here that, once they're fully attached, pushes out just a little bit. It's what gives this whole piece a little bit of flexibility on the back of the wrist. But when you flip it out, like, there's nothing that tabs into that. There's no room to peg anything onto that, and I wasn't sure what that peg did. And then I finally realized when I slid it off that it was... so that's what it is. Okay, so if you take this off, you can see these pieces. This is the ratcheting piece right here. And there's a slot in the hip, so when you move it without this piece attached, it's just free moving the hip. Whereas if you attach it, it engages those... Well, no, even then. Because if you go out like this, it's holding that in place. It's pushing... Oh, okay, yeah, it's ratcheting this with the slot so it stays flat up against it. So when you turn it like this groove is catching it and pushing that over the next ridge. Okay, I got it. Sorry. This is me exploring the toy on my own, because I knew it made the ratcheting hip. I hadn't actually explored how it made that work. So, where are you? There we go. Let's go ahead and give you a click forward just to keep you standing. We'll bring this up a little bit so we can get to the upper body here of THORILLA. So the shoulder pads, again, there's the hinge up in here, which is really nice. And you can fold these panels up. This is just friction hinged on. It just clipped on. I just popped it off the clip. But so you can get those out of the way for arm movement. But you lift these up, and then you pull them out from the body itself. That's going to unlock some of these pieces that let the heads fold in and out. But lift them up like this, and then you take the arms. One, right here they're in gorilla mode, where they're further toward the gorilla torso. But you unpeg them, and you see this piece right here is what I was talking about. It's going to fold in. Actually, need this open. Like this. And you can see there's 4 pegs. Gorilla mode uses this one and this one. And then you push this in and fold it up, and this one will peg in closer to the front of the robot torso. It's like here you can see how one is now closer to the robot torso, one's still a little further back. So we'll fold those in as well. You can go ahead and open this up. To facilitate that a little better, open that up. The arms, rotate them up around like this and then fold them down, which raises the shoulders for robot mode, which is also nice. Go ahead and flip this piece up and unlock this and rotate the whole thing around at the waist. And then, just like the wolf, rotate his legs around at the thigh swivel to bring his feet into the proper robot mode position. Arms up, bring the shoulders up, rotate the arms around like this. Rotate them around. You want to be able to see the silver hinge on this piece. That's where you get the elbow. So rotate them like that. And you may have to rotate them there at the bicep as well. And then fold that down. This panel comes out, it opens up just like the other side. These panels, watch them when you're folding this up and about, because if you don't make sure those sit back into this groove before you twist this, you could catch on those panels. Those flip out for pants mode, which again we'll show you when we do pants mode. But bring his monkey head down, rotate it around like that, fold it in, and then just fold this panel. Again, make sure those panels have the clearance, snap it back into place, push those kind of back up into those little recess slots. And then you just do the reverse here for the robot head. Flip it out, rotate it around, and then fold this up like that, clip it into place. And then these panels, one, take this lower hinge and go ahead and fold that back up into the pauldron. Same on this side. And then these push up, clip back into the body. And then you can bring, instead of folding them up here, these come down over the robot arms like this. And then I get that plugged in and down. And then the thumbs right here flip up to the other position. And there's THORILLA in robot mode. Now, one of the things that I have done here in going to this mode is that I left the gorilla hands on. He does have smaller robot hands that are ridiculously smaller robot hands. I'll show you how those work. So you come up here, you open this panel up. You do, in this point, the benefit of leaving the gorilla hands on is, one, I think they look better for the overall robot. They're a little big, but I like them, and especially when he's holding bigger weapons, and we'll show that because I'm gonna flip out his robot hands and I'm gonna go back to these. I prefer these. The other benefit of leaving the gorilla mode hands out is because you have the option of having him look like this, or flipping out the little forearm blasters. Again, very reminiscent of Primal here. And then putting that back into place. So you can display him either way. When you flip out the smaller robot mode hands, the gorilla mode fists fold up into this empty space, and you can't close this with the guns folded in. So you have to have the guns deployed in robot mode. I often do, so it's not the end of the world. But like I said, you've got options. Let me see if we can get a little more of his whole body here in the in the frame. But yeah, so to do that, open this up, and you take this. Again, I'm not sure entirely what that pile driver fist is for, but you have to open this up because it latches. There's a little latch here that holds this hinged piece out, and that's good because one of these, it's just a couple of pegs on this piece, and one of the pegs broke. But what's cool about like the solidity of this design, the peg broke, can't find it, but it doesn't. If I twist it a very certain way, it will pop out, but otherwise it still transforms just fine. It doesn't hurt anything. I think maybe in this arm because this one's still pretty solid. But yeah, so no issues. And then you kind of push the smaller robot mode fist this way. This one I think goes in. I think you fold the maybe like this. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, okay. So fold the thumb up around. Should fit on either side, but you fold that up into here and kind of push it in. And then push the fist through. And you want to be careful doing this. Like when the fist goes into the arm, rotate it so the thumb is going in first. Make sure it's flat against the side. And be very careful when pulling it back out. Always push it from the outside gently so you don't get caught up on anything, because this thumb is on a ball joint that is very easy to pop off. You don't want to lose that thumb. But then just bring the hand out, close that back up. And then you can close this back down. You see there's a couple tabs that this slots over. And now you see he's got the very small, not very small, but these look proportionally a little large. These look proportionally a little small for the robot. I think I prefer these, but again, this is the official robot mode fist over here. Both of them can hold all of the weapons. They both have the little tab and the same circumference, and they can hold all the weapons just fine. I just think these look a little better, even though they don't dramatically change as much as they could from gorilla mode to robot mode. And here, I'll show you what I'm talking about, I think, on this side. So we'll go ahead and pop this open. So this one, yeah, you can see how this one's kind of coming out because this tab here sheared off. And, but even so, like even with that being loose, you have to kind of almost pull these two halves apart to get it to come out. I don't want to risk breaking it even further. But when this is all there, it still transforms just fine. It doesn't fall off or anything like that. And it's tabbed in securely in both modes. So it's frustrating, but it's not the end of the world to have that fist. It's only when you're rotating it for transformation that it wants to be a pain. Flip that around, fold it up into here. Like I said, I never did find that peg. slid out the first time I transformed it. I never saw any pieces fall. I never found anything in the box, so that may have gotten smushed off when it was being assembled. Because there's nothing that should put the amount of force needed. It had to have been smushed going in, because there's nothing in the transformation that should put that much force on it, even if you were trying to break it. So I don't know. But then, but there he is with his regular hands. Actually, we'll just go ahead and leave them. I prefer the larger hands, but as this is the official robot mode, we'll go ahead and leave those out for the time being. But yeah, you can see it's very... He's got some toothy faceplate, but with a little remolded faceplate and some different paint, this could make a very passable Primal, in much the same vein as, again, I've mentioned the Generation Toy Gorilla, specifically because I do, in fact, have him here to show off. Oh, I flipped his toe out, just to compare him. He's a big boy, so if you have GT Gorilla, you can see the difference. He's big, he's hefty. It's a very large monkey boy. You don't fall over. No, you're done. You had your moment in the sun. So, ball joint head, you've got the same articulation in the pauldrons. These can flip up. These can flip up to allow for range of movement. In the shoulders, I don't think I showed off all of the gorilla articulation, but you've got all that ratcheting. Maybe I did. You got the same swivel just below the elbow, forward and back elbow, gorilla hinge elbow. You got a ball joint. You got a swivel there at the wrist, and then a hinge back and forth for the transformation. A ball joint at the thumb, a posable thumb joint. The fingers are all individually posable. There's a little tab inside each hand for weapons, which we'll get to. You've got the hips front to back. These pieces can get out of the way. For movement, you have the ratcheting hips, unless you decide to. I feel like that's really more for combined mode. If you want to have a little slightly smoother and a little bit more control over how wide the hips are, you can pop those pieces off, but then they just kind of set off to the side. And that's one of the things that, like, this guy specifically, with all of the work they've done into making, the feet are wolves, the hands combine to form a crab, to make all of the parts also be fellow robots. This guy has a lot of extra bits for combined mode. Weapon-wise, he's got the rifle, which again, this one actually has a groove all the way down it. So if you want him to hold it, you actually can just slide it into his closed hand. Although you do want to make sure to close the fingers around it, because if they're not tight around it, the tab itself is not super strong to hold it in place. It's already coming loose. Come on. Again, his gorilla hands hold this stuff a little better too. Come on. Well, you can't hold it. I feel like I'm George Carlin here. They do get better. Anyway. Let's kind of hang that there. You can hold his gun. And then there's two peg holes on either side of the hammer. So if you have them hold, you can only hold it in one direction. I guess if you flipped it this way, you could. Oh yeah, okay. So either way, it just depends. You'd just have to flip these pieces come out. So you could have them. If you just don't want to have these spiky pieces on it, he can hold the hammer in either direction based on where the pegs are, two-handed. These are, again, foot pieces. These circular pieces are foot pieces. The hammer itself is like just that, and then these extra pieces all peg onto it to make it bigger. Give it a little. I don't know if you want this to be the jet-powered end or this to be the jet-powered end. I don't care. But then he's got, like I said, he's got little pegs. Actually, if we're going to put him in this hand, we got to have it this way. So, but yeah, that piece just came unattached. Fun. Anyway, so we'll go ahead and put the hammer in this hand. But there's a little tab, wrap the hand around it. He's got his hammer, he's got his gun. Not great. Come on, hand. You can hold it. I know, I've seen you do it. I've got pictures of you doing it. Come on. Just hold it. Just hang on to it, buddy. It's yours. Don't you want to shoot bad guys? I mean, I guess technically you're a bad guy, so you're shooting the good guys. But to you, they're the bad guys, so whatever. Anyway, It's late. But there he is with his weapons, his hammer, and all that good stuff. He also comes with one. So like I said, these pieces right here are the same as these pieces. These two pieces on the hammer. These circular pieces go on the back of the foot. I think these pieces, each one goes on a foot. You got a lot of extra pieces for both of the wolves, even though this guy only comes with one of them. There's these two extra pieces that have a little hinge, have a little flippy thing here. And these pieces actually install on Land Bull. There's directions on how you have to unscrew a piece, hook these into a couple of pieces, and these little tabs fold in to latch, I think, to hold him together a little better in leg mode. I don't know if you have to unscrew and remove these every single time. The hinge here makes me think that these are designed to be transformable with Land Bull. And when we get Land Bull back in the house, I will find out. Or maybe somebody who already has Land Bull and THORILLA can tell us. I haven't found a video that showed how these go. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, just didn't find it. The other things he comes with is when he's in pants mode, he's got this rectangular tabs, the feet attach, but then there's also this piece that you see there's a tab here. You unlatch this. They're mirrored. There's two of them. They're mirrored pieces, and you can open this up like this. So when you are combining the feet, this plugs in to the back of a leg joint. You slide them in. This plugs in, and then these pieces wrap around it. You latch this up. This folds down. This kind of shouldn't latch like that. And then this piece will fold up, and you can see these little peg holes here that in leg mode will peg into the back of these pieces right here. These little red tube hippies, because these are his thighs in leg mode. Okay, fine. We'll drop all these. That's cool. We don't need them right now for the video anyway. Actually, I needed to get them out of your hand for the next bit. But and then they'll lock around. And these kind of just thicken the thighs and help lock everything into place and make it a little bit more secure in combined mode, which is nice. And it's the same with these pieces. They give a really strong ratchet to those hips, so he can support himself. He doesn't kind of slowly do the splits when combined. But these pieces also have a function where if you open up all these hinges so they're flat like this, take this piece and just kind of fold it down and around like that. And then there's a little peg or slot in here that can peg on right here to the forearm. Just peg it on, and then this kind of folds up and around the hand and into here, and gives him giant piston attack fists. I feel like this is just a, hey, we have the ability. We could take these pieces, and all you have to do is put a little slot right here, and then we can attach them to the arms and make them giant boxing gloves for him. And great. That's the kind of forward thinking I like to see in a toy company, because they didn't have to do it. This could have just been, I mean, and it still kind of is just an extra piece for combining, but the fact that they found a way to make it have some functionality in non-combined mode is cool. Same with all of these. They could have just given them a small hammer. The fact that they made all the foot pieces attached to the hammer, so you've got a more intricate hammer, because it really makes, with the exception of these four pieces right here, everything else completely functional as this set. Because one, if they ever do decide to release him in a different paint scheme, slight remolding as a primal, still in favor of that Cang toys, just FYI. You're not missing anything. And if you just, hey, I really like that gorilla. That's a new figure I've never played with. He was not originally one of the Predacons, but I like the look of him, but I don't know if I want to go all in on the Cang Toys Combiner. Both of these guys are really solid as individual figures. He's cool. He's got a cool little Zoid Wolfie mode. Jetpack is a little awkward here in robot mode, but not super bad for a backpack, and looks kind of cool. And again, like I said, Zoidy in wolf mode. And Gorilla is, like I said, it's got me rethinking going back and getting all the others, because if you want to try these without buying into the whole Predacon team, he's a new member, and he's a fantastic standalone. He's solid. He's fun. I love the design. His Gorilla mode is fantastic. And he's a cool-looking robot. So whether you get this version or a potential eventual, I keep pushing it because I want to see it happen, primal version down the line, regardless, he's a really solid, fun figure on his own. And I've had a lot of fun with him in gorilla mode, just making him walk like a gorilla all around the house. It's fun. And I did the same thing with Transmetal Optimus when I first got him. There's a thing that if it's fun to do that, then I enjoy a gorilla figure. Granted, I do it with most of them. But anyway, there is, again, thanks to Shozi Store for sending this over for me to check out. There is THORILLA, and RUSIRIUS from Cang Toys. And now I gotta get a paycheck and go grab the others. Thankfully, I've been working. If you're watching my other video reviews, I've been working more, not just added duties, but been working 10, 11 election nights coming up. I'm going to be working probably a 15-hour day. And it's the last day of the pay period, which means my next paycheck is going to be mwah. So maybe we get to go back and pick up those other guys in a week or two. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, we'll have some cool stuff coming. I am eventually going to finish the rest, the other 4, what are they calling them? Regenesis versions of their, it's not Bruticus, what are they calling the Assaultus? So we'll do Incursus, we'll do Probus. No, Probus we already did. Swindlus and Blast Office and Vortexus. Impetus, and you know their names. The G2 Combaticons from MMC. We'll do some Beast Box stuff, some Beast Drive figures of the shark. The Raptor looks cool. Looking forward to finally having one of those because it was a model kit for a while. And also there's a cool shark that turns into a jet. And then there's other sharks that like a hammerhead shark and other sharks that turn into different color jets. But then you can mix and match them to make a giant jet, kind of like a Shin Getter or just a Getter Robo combo of sharks. And that's going to be fun. Anyway, like I said, smaller output probably going forward. But I'm not, one, thank you to everybody who got in touch and said they'd miss me, or just the people who said they enjoyed my videos over the years. I appreciate it. I'm glad you all have enjoyed them. That was the point. Thank you for watching. And like I said, you'll probably see a slowdown of content from me. I don't know that it'll ever be truly gone. As things show up, like, some companies still send things, and I'm not just going to take them and not review them. I will, and every now and then there's going to be something I'll be like, oh, I want that. And I'll probably sit down and review it. But it just won't be, I'm not pushing for content. If you notice, there were a couple months there, I had a lot of stuff come in. I picked up a lot of stuff personally. And for a while there, I shot a whole bunch of stuff even before we went over to Europe for a couple of weeks. We were getting Monday, Wednesday, Friday videos every week. And you're not gonna, I don't think you're going to see that from me again. Unless I just get really, really crazy on things. But like I said, I'm not leaving, but it's not going to be my focus anymore. I've got to start focusing on different things. I just don't have the time or the energy for it. Maybe once I get settled into a routine, I'll have more energy for it. We'll see how it goes. But I'll always be on Twitter. You'll always be able to reach me and say hi. And like I said, I will pop in from time to time. This is not a final, you're never going to see me again. I'm just going to be a little limited going forward. So anyway, thanks for watching. We are now well over 30 minutes because this section's 30 minutes and I had to do that cut in the middle because of his stupid arm. So we're probably looking at a 40-minute video review, which is longer than I was expecting for this one. So, and I'm just making it longer by talking. Thanks. Have a good night. Hope everybody's well. Stay safe. Have fun. Vote. I think this will probably go up before people vote. So if you haven't voted yet, get out and vote if you're allowed to. If you're not allowed to, don't. God, if you're not allowed to, don't risk getting in trouble because that's one of the things that everybody's saying they're up in arms about. We'll see. Anyway, we're not going to get political here. Vote if you're able to. Either however you vote, it's important. Be safe. Be well. Take care of yourselves. Be happy. And pop over on Twitter or here and say hey every once in a while.